Welcome to VaderBox. I'm Bambi Francisco, and with me, as always, is Ezra Royce, and VaderBox regular. And this week's guest host, once again, is Richard Jalachandra. He's the CEO of Technorati. Richard, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for having.
Glad you changed.
These are our fanciest clothes.
Yeah. Ezra, what's the theme for this week?
It's mobile companies that start with T that aren't T-Mobile.
And what are those companies?
They're Tapulous and Tatango.
Tapulous and Tatango. Tapulous is, of course, one of the hottest iPhone apps with Tap Tap Revenge. And as we look at these companies, again, we're going to look at the pitch, and we're going to talk about the novelty of the idea first, right, then the challenges, and then is there a business here? And of course, we have our new segment called the Liquid Scenarios Minute, where we're going to look at estimates of the company's valuation and exit strategies. So let's start with Tapulous. This is the developer, as we said, of one of the leading applications on the iPhone called Tap Tap Revenge.
Hi, my name is Bart de Krem. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Tapulous, a startup based in Palo Alto. We're angel funded, and we're building fun and social apps for the iPhone. We have 2 apps out right now on the iPhone. One is called Tap Tap Revenge. It's a music game for the iPhone. It's got 1 million users in 3 weeks, and it lets you tap to the beats of your favorite songs. Our second app is called Twinkle, and it's an app that lets you connect with your friends on Twinkle and people nearby. And what we're doing is we're building a whole family of apps for the iPhone because we believe that the iPhone marks the beginning of the second generation of mobile devices, and there'll be big new opportunities.
Okay, novelty.
I think it's novel from an implementation standpoint. I think what they're doing is cool and fun and really leveraging the iPhone. And I saw your interview with them where you do both play at the same time. It's tough to do on a Palm Pilot or something. So they clearly got the essence of the platform and implemented that really well. I'm not sure how difficult it is for some other company to follow them, but right now they have clearly a good eye for what's possible on the iPhone.
This is like a classic game or studio or publisher model. So it's really, really dependent on the creativity and innovation of the studio. Again, making the most out of the platform, and as well as just having something fun to do. It's very hit driven.
I think the novelty I think the novelty is in the way they marketed this game and pre-releasing it to jailbreak phones. And having 700,000 users actually using it. Now, the trick is, if it were a lousy product, then they wouldn't have been so successful. So, to your point, it is a hits business, and I think that's the challenge, is when are they going to be, will they be able to continually come up with these great, cool apps and games? Right.
And they timed the opening of the platform well. I mean, they basically were there early in the iPhone, and they created a great app, and they got out. So I think that's, I think that there's sort of moments when there's an ability to get sort of a quick adoption curve. Like the guys who are like Ollie's the right first app available when Facebook opened, they just got 20 million users out of the gate because they just were in exactly the right place at the right time and worked the strategy well. So good for them for doing that too.
Now the long-term goal here is to be the social network for the iPhone. So do you think that's ambitious? Everybody wants to be the new social network for the iPhone.
Yeah, I think Apple probably wants to be the new social network for the iPhone. So I think that might be a little ambitious. And heck, Facebook itself, MySpace itself.
Well, they have the Facebook Connect.
I spent half the weekend on my Facebook app on my iPhone. So I think it's going to be a little difficult for somebody to supplant a big brand like that. I think going forward, their model is really going to get back to the creativity of the type of apps and games that they can then put on there. And what they should really look at is leveraging their initial brand success to go out and find other developers and really, go after a publisher model where they go after the best developers, get the best games. Don't have to produce them all yourself. You just have to be the distributor.
Well, you touched on the model. So is there a business here now? There's Apple's developers are making $1 million a day in aggregate, I guess $1 million a day already, or they have over the last month or the first month that the Apple Store launched. Bart is looking to drive revenue with advertising, though, not subscription. So this is a free, he's going to do both, but he thinks that advertising on the mobile phones are about $5 to $30, I guess, CPM these days. So do you think he should be focusing on an advertising model, or subscription model?
Richard said it. This is a hits business. So at the end of the day, you have to have huge consumption. And then the question becomes, how do you effectively monetize the hit? Because you can have a hit from a consumption standpoint, it isn't necessarily a hit financially. So 1 million users is really impressive. Getting them to pay $5.
You won't be seeing 1 million, possibly.
Yeah, you're probably not seeing 1 million, and then also, even if you saw all 1 million, they all paid $5. It's only $5 million. So I mean, the reality is you got to have a lot of millions in there to make a substantial business. If you're going to do it on an ad basis, you really have to make it so it doesn't screw up the experience. So how do you integrate those ads in a way that are effective? You have to jump 2 hurdles: 1, not screw up the game, and 2, deliver for the advertiser. So. Do you want people clicking on whatever the thing is to go to wherever the thing is in the middle of the game, or how do you create a method that effectively works with an in-game advertising on a mobile device that delivers to the for the advertiser, that consumer, without sort of taking away from the game? All of those are pretty tough challenges to overcome.
I think it's a huge challenge to do everything you just said.
Yeah.
Just like looking from a pure reach and distribution of ad inventory and reach, and I mean, it's going to be hard to aggregate enough reach where it becomes interesting. And the other thing, you said $5 to $30 CPMs on a mobile device. I don't believe that's going to last very long.
No.
I think that the CPMs on mobile are going to come way down, and I think, unfortunately, the winner in mobile is going to be Google, because it's a simple CPC model that's very easy to kind of get out there.
Google doesn't win in every category. But anyway, guess what time it is? It's time for the Liquid Scenarios Minute. Yeah. This is the time we look at valuations and exit strategies, and most importantly, when founders do or don't make money. So Tapulous actually raised an angel round of, actually a significant angel round of $1.8 million from about 30 investors in 2008. Liquid Scenarios estimates that Tapulous angel round had a pre-money valuation of around $5.4 million. Tapulous' success in acquiring 1 million users of Tap Revenge in less than a month is rare and valuable. When applying premium CPM rates to Tapulous' existing traffic, the potential for revenue and earnings is clear. These factors may make Tapulous a target for acquisition very quickly, making the pricing for its round really high, perhaps as high as Facebook's Series A or Mevo's Series B. Now, assuming the next round is in the range of $7 to $12 million, with a pre-money valuation of around $70 million to $100 million, an exit of just $200 million a year later would give existing angels a 30x return if they don't invest in the new round, and founders would actually walk away with $100 million. That's the Liquid Scenarios Minute. Okay, yeah, easier said than done.
Anytime $200 million exit. $200 million exit, everybody walks away with a lot of money. I think the trick is, and Richard can give his 2 cents. Mine would be, these guys jumped out to a great head start. There's probably some big companies right now who would love to have that position in the iPhone game. I would be actively trying to talk to some of those companies.
I would sell this as fast as I can, because I don't think they can sustain it.
Yeah.
I think the hit-driven business is really difficult.
You've got a great asset right now.
Sell it now.
Contact Bambi, you can get my information.
Yeah, talk to Ezra.
Wait, and if you need a bridge round or something like that, I'm happy to supply.
Oh, okay.
Bridge round.
Call Richard or Ezra.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So next company, not as successful, but, budding company. I think they're doing fairly well. It's called Tatango. And this company allows groups to send out text messages through their mobile phone or online.
Hi, my name is Derek Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of Tatango.com. In college, I was a member of a fraternity, and the most frustrating thing was trying to get a message out to all the fraternity members for meetings, reminders, and events. As I started to look around, this problem wasn't isolated to only fraternities. All types of groups were running into the same problems as we were. This included athletic teams, families, community organizations, clubs, groups, and even businesses. The solution was Tatango.com, the easiest way for any groups to send out a text message to all their group members at the same time from either their computer or mobile phone. To make group SMS economically feasible, we insert highly targeted advertising at the end of each text message.
Okay, I have to say, this guy is very confident.
Yes.
He's probably class president.
No, he's fraternity president.
Oh, fraternity.
Social chair. That's why he had to get out. The quarters game is starting in an hour.
Exactly.
You can't do that over email.
So not
beer pong in 10 minutes.
So novelty. I mean, I guess other sites do this. I've been playing around with. I mean, Twitter, clearly you could have your own followers
yeah, and Yahoo Groups could do a mobile application, and I don't think there's a lot of novelty to this. Execution would be incredibly important. Finding somebody who could slot this in, this might be a quick sale again, something to get rid of quick, because it would be very hard to dominate in this with big brands already out there.
But who would buy this, Mr. Banker?
Well, I mean, I think Richard hit it on the head. This is a tricky one to say there aren't a lot of people who could. Back to the reason why Facebook will probably win on the iPhone, because it's where the people are. The groups are actually already lots of places. There are lots of software that does groups. So how hard is it for them for Google Groups or Yahoo Groups, one of the other major groups products, or a zillion other types, LinkedIn groups, to add in a text message option? These guys could show them the way, and they could execute really well and be acquired by any one of those guys who had a need for maybe some cool innovation they had. I actually liked what he said, and I said this before actually when we talked about Moses. I think there is a need for text-based messaging and group messaging. So I coach Little League, and getting out to all the parents the morning of the game, with text messaging would be great, because you can say it's going to be raining or the game's delayed or a different field or whatever it is. So there is a need for this. This type of service, but I think that the challenges and the competitive pressures would be huge. So you might get a buyer in the not too distant future.
Something else to think about too. One of the reasons that venture capitalists invest is they like investing in people versus the ideas.
Sure.
The fact that this guy presented so well and so confidently, he might be worth taking a punt on, because he's got that engineering presence and seems to have a lot of energy. So
has a lot of energy. He has some sort of vision. He really loves
definitely
his product.
has a vision. Is in love with it and passionate about it, and those are usually the companies that win, whether it's a small exit or a big exit.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you can actually create a group pretty quickly, and it creates a URL, creates your own page. I created a group pretty quickly. Has a few kinks to work out. But if you can focus on that type of feature and actually get it distributed.
I think if you went to one of the new social network kind of sites for youth sports, or you went to one for
I think he has to do that.
Beer pong, or one of the other major emerging services.
Professional beer pong league.
Professional beer pongers. I think that there are any number of applications where if you could find where the groups are, they just don't have the feature.
I think that's what he needs to do.
So I would get a great BD guy and go out and just be calling everybody you can possibly find who has groups and try to plug this in.
The business subscription. I created a group for free, and then the next time I wanted to create another group, and it cost me $5 a month. So that's their premium services. Is that the model that these guys should go after?
The more you charge, the less you'll sign up.
Yeah. I think this is tough for them. I mean, I think that the reality is with these kinds of services for them, it's all about what they want to do. If they want to build a small cash flow business and they all, make a little money on it, that's fine. If they want to have a substantial exit, if they're putting adoption barriers in place, I frankly don't like, for high growth businesses, any toll that limits the fundamental consumption of the product. So as soon as they stick a toll in there and it limits adoption and consumption, they've already...
And with somebody like a Twitter out there right now that's totally free, I mean, why would you sign up for this when I just start a group of following in Twitter?
Right.
So, I mean, so you got to weigh the dice. So you got, on one hand, you got Tap Tap Revenge, you get the million people giving something away for free. On this hand, you got these guys trying to charge. They definitely won't get the million people overnight like Tap Tap Revenge did. So how do you balance those two things? It's tricky.
Not sure they have, the same ambitions as Tap Tap Revenge or Twitter. I mean, the company raised $250,000, so now it's time, as estimated by Liquid Scenarios. So you know what that time is. It's time for the Liquid Scenarios Minute, where we're going to check out the possible exit strategies based on estimated valuations as compiled by Liquid Scenarios. So Tatango looks like they've raised about $250,000, and they may have raised another tranche in 2008. Assuming the angel round was structured as a Series A1 round, Liquid Scenarios estimates that the pre-money valuation was around $1.5 million. Liquid Scenarios estimates that Tatango's Series A VC round will be in the range of $3 to $5 million with a pre-money valuation of around $6 million. Let's compare Tatango's user and traffic growth at the early stage compared to Twitter's early growth and what that suggests about potential for the future value of Tatango. Based on blog posts, Twitter's pre-money value last July was around $20 million with about 340,000 users. Twitter's most recent funding was reportedly $60 million pre-money with 1 million users. Both pre-money valuations suggest Twitter was valued at about $60 per public user. If Tatango could command a similar amount per user in a sale, the founders, angels, and VCs would all do quite well, with angels getting nearly 10x return, founders walking away with nearly $10 million, and the first round of VCs getting over 3x. That's the Liquid Scenarios Minute. So, comments?
I think that, did it say how many users they had? I didn't. That was the number
I think in the pitch that he said that they've had about 2,000, 4,000. It's several thousand.
Okay. So I mean, I think that the trick here is that, first off, they're different things. What Twitter does and what these guys do are different. And Twitter is a platform application and has established a pretty strong beachhead in sort of microblogging. And so I think they are accomplishing different objectives. Although Twitter has a mobile aspect, it's really about microblogging and sort of publishing more than it is about groups and collaboration. Right. I think, to me, this is one of those companies that I wouldn't raise a lot more money. I think that this is a nice, cool idea. If they implement it well, if they got a couple of good hits from a business development standpoint, there could be a nice little exit, and all these guys can get a cool new car and be totally out of the blocks, racing on their careers. I don't think if they go out, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to meet a really charming venture capitalist who's going to convince them to take $6 million, make them feel like kings of the world, and they're going to have a $8 million exit, and the venture capitalists will, end up taking the money and they won't get much out of it, and they'll still be driving their beaters. So I would avoid the big raise, and I would just make a cool little company and go around to friends and family.
And I think from an operational standpoint, Ezra's absolutely right. Go find a kick-ass biz dev guy because you actually might hit the distribution deal that does take you to the next level. Then it makes sense to go get the $6 million round.
Right. Or I was going to say, without the VCs, bypassing them altogether, it'd be great to do $250,000 and get to profitability. I don't know where they are, but
I also don't know where they are with the carriers as well, because there might be a deal with the carriers that they can do that helps them a little bit.
Sure. Okay. So.
They did a good job. I mean, there's guys out there like, I don't know, the sort of the folks who, the MBloxes and the VeriSigns who bought whatchamacallit, and Amdocs who bought the other whatchamacallit, all the aggregator guys. And, maybe there's a great, there's a great exit here for being an app that goes along with those SMS aggregator guys that does a really nice job in that category. So I think there's a lot of ways for them to get exits. I just don't think they need to raise a lot of money to get there.
Okay. Tapulous and Tatango, I know, again, two different type of companies, but which ones would you invest in? Which one would you make a bet in?
I would probably bet on Tapulous, just because they got the Mo. They have the Mo right now. I mean, 1 million users in 3 weeks is pretty darn impressive. And, even if they launched 20 new apps and only one of them was a hit, that's still pretty darn good.
They could still sort of ride on the coattails of or just sort of still leverage the tap revenge and make some money there.
I think Tapulous is a great company. Clearly, they've got great mo, as Richard said, and I think the trick now is timing the exit versus the raise. My fear for them would be that, again, they go out and do a huge raise.
One-hit wonder, they do a huge raise and nothing.
Next thing you've got Dexys Midnight Runners, and then another coming along after it. So that would be my concern. So,
well, on that note, okay, well, that's it for this week's VaderBox. Ezra, thanks again. And Richard Jalachandra, thank you so much for being our guest host twice for 2 segments. So you've been watching VaderBox. I'm Bambi Francisco. We'll see you next time on Vader TV.